Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. It seems like we are required to use certain terms for certain actions, otherwise, we are bad people. So, if I say he was strolling through the park instead of saying he was walking through the park, I'm a bad person because he was walking, not strolling. Or if I say he was, I don't know, visiting someone, instead of saying he stopped by at someone's house, that's a wrong term. You have to change it. Otherwise, you're a bad person. I'm talking about the Russia-NATO scuffle on the territory of Ukraine. If you call that a war, some people would say, well, that's not a war, that's a special military operation. Now, if you call that a Russian special military operation, other people will get upset. And they will demand that you change the term because it doesn't fit what's going on over there. Now we have George Soros, yeah. This guy, Viktor Orban, and he says, you know what? Actually, what's going on in Ukraine is not a war. It's a Russian special military operation. Holy moly macaroni, you can't do that. They say. Why are they in charge of the reality? Well, because Orban, the Hungarian prime minister that I like, is a logical individual, which is, it seems like it's a rare currency nowadays. He uses arguments and say, okay, I make this statement and here is my supporting arguments, but based on this and the reality and so on. Now you can't do this because nowadays you're required to go by gut feelings. I identify as a unicorn, therefore I am a unicorn. So that's something that these guys are dragging us back into infancy, infantile mentality. Orban doesn't belong to that group. Neither you or I. We resist that. So what arguments did Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, bring to support, this claim? And he's going to use, obviously, some, I would say, logical arguments. Orban questions if Russia's invasion of Ukraine is a war. Why do you care, Bloomberg, or whomever? Why would you care how Orban calls it? Oh, there's some legal, implications or something? The lawyers would charge more money here and there. Okay, let's see what Orban has to say. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban questions whether Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Well, if it would be a full-scale invasion, you would have 30 million people and nuclear weapons dropped. That's why it's not a full-scale. Full-scale would be whatever. Full means all. Correct? And Bloomberg should know better. Zoltan Simon. Zoltan, Hungarian name. Simon, a different kind of name. I can only guess who he is, man. It's unbelievable. I'm going to look for him, probably. We'll see. So if I have time, I will look for who Zoltan Simon is. Now, full-scale invasion of Ukraine, which had led to hundreds of thousands of casualties, should be called a war. He questions that. And I'm quoting what Orban said. This is a military operation. End quote. Orban told reporters at an annual news conference in Budapest Thursday, using Russian President Vladimir Putin's terminology. Well, if the Russians identify their actions as such, you should respect that. Because if someone identifies himself as a she-self and he demands that you address him as a she, you have to respect that. How come the same logic is not valid here? You would say the facts point to the other term? You can't say that. Why can't you say it here, but you can definitely say it here? That's why, America. Don't lose your freedom and so on. And I'm quoting, this is one of his arguments, Orban's, there was no declaration of war between the two countries. Now, obviously, that's a legal term, no declaration, no war. But the actions, right? The actions actually define the term you're going to use, right? So if you have this many thousands, hundreds of thousands of people fighting, I think is a war. Don't you think it's a war? I think it's a war. So, but those guys call it a special military operation. Why? And I'm going to show you again. First, no declaration of war, but if the action fits the term, we're going to use it. I think it fits. But he's going to come with another argument, and that's even more compelling and true. There was no declaration of war between the two countries. When Russia declares war, then there will be war. Well, yes and no, as I already stated. And that's not all of it. Let me show you. All right. He said at a meeting with Putin, he called Russia's invasion a military operation, though he told reporters in Budapest on Thursday that he's also willing to use the word war, including with the Russian president the next time they meet. And I'm quoting, we should be happy there's no declaration of war, because then there will be a general mobilization in Russia, Orban said. I don't wish that on anybody. So this is the second argument Orban factually points out. There's no general mobilization, there's no full-scale invasion. Because there's no general mobilization, there's no declaration of war. That's why it looks like a war. You can say factually, no, these guys are having this. But on the other hand, if there would be a war, you need a declaration of war. You want to be technical. And the other one, it would be the resultant of a general mobilization. I don't wish that on anybody. And that's true. That's why these guys say, oh, the Russians will attack us the next. They said, no, why would they? To get more problems because that's the way they are. Well, that would be the idiotic argument. These guys who pretend. These guys are delusional. They pretend. And only on their case. So they can pretend only their pretense should be respected. Other people's pretenses should not. Now, what's that? That's infantile, childish mentality. In kindergarten, people that are not fully developed. What do you want? Yeah, that's exactly what I say. So he said, no declaration of war, no general mobilization. Then would be a war. So how? He said, I don't care if I use war. I don't care if I use it tsupi tsupi or luku luku. I don't care, man. It doesn't really matter. It's just for images. It's just for propaganda purposes. They want to call it a war, full-scale invasion, because they want to squeeze these guys' empathy. So they can say, yes, we should send it over there. Why do you think this? In every article they talk about, civilian death, hospitals and all, which, yes, that happens. That happens. I'm not saying they don't, but always and forever and only, I mean, no. It's just for empathy, so these guys get along with the script written by others for others' interests. And we are, yes, and we are educated. 1/3 of the US population has a college degree. That 1/3 doesn't work at the level of their education, by the way. But nevertheless, we're educated. Why? Because you got a piece of fucking paper, right? That's what it is? Yeah. But why don't you ask people for a change? I can't remember who that was, but it doesn't really matter. How's that? Open your mouth so I can know who you are. And I'm not talking about open your mouth for other reasons. In 5 minutes, if you ask the right questions, 1 or 2 questions, you understand if you should talk to that person, if you're going to have an honest intellectual discussion or a dishonest. 2 questions you need to ask, 2 questions, and you're going to figure out where that guy stands. How intellectually sophisticated it is, or how much he knows, how he thinks. It's more important to know how to think than to have the information, than to think only. Because you have to be objective, you have to follow a certain steps and so on. If you're not intellectually honest, then you're gonna put, like, let's say you bake a cake. If you put the ingredients however you want, whenever you want, and on top of that, you just discard some of the ingredients because you don't like those, then what kind of cake will be baked? No cake. So the same with this. If you want to find something, put all the information that is related to that, and has relevance, Look at them objectively. You might not like it. You're not over there to push okay, this is bad, and I'm getting the information, okay, they fit, this is it. No, you don't do that. You want to find out how or what is this? Is it good, bad, not both? What is it? And then you get information, and after that you reach a conclusion. You don't say it's bad and then you bring and push away. So here it is, Orban. There's no war. Well, technically, no declaration of war, no general mobilization. Thank you very much for being with me again today. And he doesn't care how he calls it. He doesn't get tangled in garbage. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.